Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Blades and Banner podcast. My name is Nolan Carney, coming to you live today from sunny but chilly Florida. People say, "Oh, it's not cold." It definitely gets a little brisk here, but today I'm coming to you live to bring you the Skate America preview, the Sadva 2025 Skate America, the fifth stop on the Grand Prix, which feels kind of odd to say. Normally, we're so used to Skate America being the premier event, the starting event of the year on the Grand Prix circuit. And now it's kind of weird that we have it fifth. The whole orders felt really off this year, starting in France, going to China. Like normally China's fourth or fifth or third or in the middle somewhere. And normally we're wrapping up the Grand Prix with either Finland, NHK, sometimes Russia. So when they were hosting. But yeah, so we're going to dive into all things Skate America today. Please feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment below, share the video or whatever you want. I'll be doing, so this is something that I've had requested is people wanted me to do like a preview show instead of doing like a short preview at the end of our Grand Prix recaps. So what I'm thinking of doing is I'll do this for the next two Grand Prix for Skate America and then Finland next week. And then for the final, I'll probably have it as like a episode, like a normal episode with like a guest host. We'll do a preview final or a preview of the final because that's also correlating with the Korean ranking competition weekend. So that's part of their selection for the Olympics. So that will be something important that we'll want to discuss too. So I'll probably combine those two during that week. And that just gives us a little bit of a gap because there's not really a lot of competitions in between the last Grand Prix. And well, there actually is, but not the most like important. But I will be covering all of those just to keep you all updated and make sure that we're all aware and knowledgeable skating fans. So, anyways, yeah. So leave me suggestions if you like this type of video or if you'd rather have me do it as like a part of like an event recap. So there's two options. If you have any suggestions for like other options, I also thought about doing this as like a live video next week potentially, or maybe in the future doing like a live where I can like answer questions and talk about some of this stuff. Like currently we're on like I'm live and you're watching me IRL, not IRL, but live and can ask questions and stuff like that. So if we did do that, I'd probably post like a poll kind of filtering out like what times would work best with people because I don't want to do it when like no one's available to come and chat. So yeah. Anyways, jumping into Skate America, I'm gonna give you guys just like some general information about it prior to like jumping into the individual disciplines. It's hosted this year in Lake Placid. The events this year will be broadcasted on Peacock, the ISU channel, and then also it'll be, if you're in the US, it'll be on E and NBC. NBC will cover it on Sunday, and it'll be on E the other 2 days. For the television schedule, be sure to check the US Figure Skating website to see what time everything starts. They'll be pretty sure it'll probably just be Tara and Johnny and Terry Gannon doing the broadcast for that. For the actual schedule, we will have, let's see, we will have the practices beginning on Thursday. I think because it's in the US this year, we'll also get, well, Skate America is always in the US, but I think because this event's in the US, we'll have practice video. Normally we do for Skate America, so that'll be interesting for us to be able to see practice before the event. Um, and that'll be on Peacock for users in the US. If not, I'm sure people will be posting videos online on Twitter, X, or whatever you call it, or YouTube potentially of practice reports or Instagram. Some people find ways to post it on Instagram. Friday will be the pairs short program and the men's short program. Saturday will be all the events. So the rhythm dance, the pairs free skate, the women's short, the men's free skate, and Sunday will be the free dance and the women's free skate. And all of these are on Eastern time, which is so nice for me to not have to wake up at 3 a.m. or stay up late to watch an event. Like it's just nice. I get to wake up normally, do my normal daily routine, and then come home and be able to watch skating. It's great. It's great. I'm so happy it's in the Eastern time zone. So yeah, anyone just or just back in North America. You know, it's nice to have an event in North America where it's nice and easy for me to watch. But yeah, okay. General things about Skate America that I think have been people have been talking about is one, the weather, and also the current situation with flights in the US is definitely not the best. So that's causing a lot of concern for people for fans being able to get their skaters, coaches, medical team, all of that. Like there's a lot of things in flux, I think, in terms of getting to Lake Placid. Um, so I think a lot of people, if you are going, I would definitely have at least like 3 or 4 plans set, ready to go in case you need a pivot at any point to get to the event. If I was a skater, I feel like I would have left yesterday to go to Lake Placid, just to make sure that I had enough time to get there, get acclimated, and um, just be present at Lake Placid. So that's something that's of concern. Also, there's a big northern snowstorm, I believe, that's going on right now that's moving east. So people are going to probably get remnants of that potentially on the way up. And it's not very easy to drive to Lake Placid, obviously, just because of the topography of the area. So that's something that is also a concern for people. And there's no airport in Lake Placid. So not easy to get there. You pretty much have to drive there. So yeah, anyways, not easy to get to. Obviously not a great time of the year for the weather. So I don't know, just not a overall not looking to be a prominent situation for us. But I'm sure that people will be able to figure it out and hopefully everything works out for the best. But getting into the actual disciplines of Skate America, I have to say, looking at the general field and like an overall arch, last week I remember looking at it thinking that it wasn't an overall strong field for all of these disciplines. I think the women's event is a little bit weaker with who's there. But I think now that I've taken like a second look at the field, they're all really wide open fields, which kind of make them exciting. I would say they're wide open in the singles events. And the dance and the pairs, I think we know who will probably be the first place in the dance, and then the top two for the pairs, which we'll get to. But those singles events, I feel like they're pretty wide open. I think the general consensus would be that Alysa Liu would be the favorite in the women's event. But after that, I don't really have a clear number two. I did make my predictions. Not for all of them, which I'll do some of them on the fly here, but I did make my predictions, so you can put your predictions down there, or and I'll post the fantasy. This is people were talking about the fantasy thing. I will put it in this video, so you will see it in the description box below. And yeah, I will make sure it's there, and I'm going to catch up. I promise everything will be fine. We will get it all sorted out, and just make sure if you're gonna do it, I will go back to make sure if people try to like cheat and put predictions after the event started, I'll cut those out. So just make sure they're in before the event actually begins. So moving on, let's look at some of the storylines, which for me, I want to start with the pairs because I think the pairs has the most recency for all of us because there's been 2 additions to the event. Akopova and Rachmaninin from, what is this country? Armenia. Sorry, forgot the flag. Armenia. And Chen and Hao from the US were added. So Chen and Hao replaced Audrey Shin and Balazs Naj, who were withdrawn from the event. I say withdrawn because in my part, just my gut, I'm not saying that this is any relevancy or validity to it. I do believe they were pulled from the event for Emily and Spencer. And it's kind of weird because it comes at a time where Audrey and Balazs did very well last week at the Ice Challenge in Austria. They did get beat by Chelsea Liu and Ryan Bedard, who have also been having a great year. But it's not like they were solidly defeated. So I don't really think they did anything personally to get pulled. I think personally this just goes to Emily Chen and Spencer Howe kind of being not upheld, but I think they're trying to set them up for that second US pair team in case Alysa Efimova and Misha Mitrofanov cannot get citizenship in time. And if you look at the 3 pair teams that I think are the top 3 right now, I would say that right now Misha and Alysa are the top because of their consistency this year. Not because of their scoring. Their scoring's been the most consistent. They scored 193 each at each event they've been to. While Danny has also had the highest high, he's also had the lowest low of the top three pair teams. And then Chen and Hao behind Alysa and Misha have probably been the second most consistent of the three. Again, Danny and Ellie have been on a much more upward trajectory as of late, so that could change in the next few weeks. But if you look at just the top three pairs on their holistic review of the season, I would say in that order, Alysa and Misha are probably the most consistent of the three pair teams this year. But they don't have the citizenship. So Emily and Spencer by default are gonna be that second team that I think people are gonna focus on and try to get them as much criteria done. So this is another Grand Prix for them, which is gonna help them in that criteria. That'll also set them up for nationals. So again, I think this was just a little bit of strategic move. They did pretty well in at NHK. For them, I mean, looking at the the standards of pairs, obviously they were in a pretty deep pair field last weekend. Didn't place amazing overall, but I think relative to the scores, it was pretty good for them. So also here that Akopova and Rachmaninoff replacing Bakari and Gorise, I believe, the Italian team. The Armenian team, Akopova and Rachmaninoff, have had a really great year. They've been at a lot of smaller events. They qualified at Chinese Nebelhorn. They went to the Triolata Trophy. They went to John Nix. So they've been at a lot of events that, if you've been following some of these smaller ones, you'll know that they have pretty solid pair team. They're one of those teams I think that could be in the contention for a medal here. So I will say though, going back to Audrey and Balazs Naj, I'm surprised they pulled them instead of Flores and Wang, Luke Flores and Olivia Flores and Luke Wang. Just because I think that team has I mean, they have a really low PB for this year. And I just don't think they have as much potential as Audrey and Balaj. I know they're probably trying to develop them as well, but I just don't really see the overall future for this team. I do think that maybe they could have replaced, yeah, Flores and Wang, and I'm also surprised they didn't give Ryan and Chelsea a spot this year because Ryan and Chelsea have done really well this season and have been on an upward trajectory. So yeah, there's not as many pair spots, but also you'll see Valentina Plazas and Max Fernandez here making their Grand Prix debut this season. So they're one of those teams that I think are kind of forgotten about when you could talk about potential second spot for the US pairs. And not as likely. They do have the citizenship, which is a big key with all these teams. So that is a bonus for them, but not as consistent as some of these other teams. But just something to keep in mind. I think the big thing for the pairs event is going to be the battle between Miura and Kihara, and Metelkina and Berlava from Georgia. Again, they faced off this season way early in the year at that Kinoshita Group Cup in Japan, where the Japanese got the best of them. Oh God, my neck hurts. But Metelkina and Berlava have had a really great year. Did they win their first Grand Prix? They did. They won the Cup of China, beat Kantiamachi and Swain Han with a very, very high score. And they won that Triolata Trophy Cup with a 225. So it really has been a good year for them. And the Japanese as well. The Japanese did take a little bit of a dip at that first Grand Prix event. So they've had a little bit of time, about 4 weeks in between Grand Prix France and Skate America. So they've had time to kind of recover, regroup. So that's something that I would be watching. I would also be watching out for them just to see how they're handling things this Olympic season. That's something that, they have a lot of pressure on them, and that's something that you'll want to keep an eye on. Yeah, for the pairs, though, I think for me, this is who I am. This is my prediction. I'm going to give you guys my predictions for each of these disciplines. I'm going to go Miura and Kihara for the win. I'll go Metelkina and Berlava for second. I could see it going either way, though. You could tell me it went the other way, and I'd be like, sure. I'm going to give you a curveball here. I'm going to go Akopova and Rachmaninoff for third. Chen and Hao, I'll go fourth. And I'll go Hawk and Kunkel for fifth. I could see you could see potentially Plazas and Fernandez getting in that top five. Yeah, I think that's about it. Personally, let's see. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Probably top five. Maybe you could see maybe the Canadians could sneak into the top five. I'd say more unlikely, but you never know. So, wrapping up the pairs, well, let's go into, let's see, let's take a look at the men. This is another one where I think this is a wide open field. I think the big thing for me is that it's wide open because one, Mikhail Shaidorov has had a little bit of a struggle to begin the season. Kevin Amos not as solid at his first Grand Prix. Daniel Grassel's kind of been kind of is a sneaky threat here as well as to Kazuki Tomono. But the big thing for me, and I have to say, first off, there is a tweet on Twitter about the Skate America that I'm not going to say what the tweet was about, but if you did see the tweet, you will laugh. You will very much laugh about what the tweet said and the context of all the skaters that are here in this men's event. But I'm not going to say it because it's not appropriate on say it here. But it is a funny tweet if you see it. I saw it re-pop up again this week on the timeline, and I was like, that is very funny. But Kevin Amos, my big headline is Kevin Amos is returning to Skate America, and we see every year Kevin could do like a waltz jump at like a competition the week before, and the next week he'll pull up with like a quad toe, triple axle, beautiful second quad toe, and um, always does so well at Skid America somehow. He loves Allen, Texas. Does he like Lake Placid, New York? I don't know. He did pretty well to start off the season and dipped down a little bit at his first Grand Prix. Said there was a little bit of um, God, my neck, a little bit of an injury, lingering injury. So I wonder how much that has changed within the past 2 weeks. Probably not too much, but I'm sure we could see a big, substantial improvement in scoring. The second storyline I'm kind of looking at here is that battle of those Italian men. You have Daniel Grassel, you have Nikolai Memela. Those two are the big two that we're going to talk about. Obviously, you have Corey Cercelli here, will be making his Grand Prix debut this season. Not his Grand Prix debut, but his Grand Prix for this season. Um, so you'll be watching, most likely you'll be watching the two scores between Grassel and Memela, who are trying to build a case for the two Italian spots, with Matteo Rizzo kind of looking on the outside in. Another thing I'm thinking of here are the people with final implications. So Mikhail Shaidorov got a third place at Cup of China. You have Daniel Grassel, who got second place at Cup of China. And you could even throw in Kazuki Tomono, who was fourth at Skate Canada. Kazuki would probably need to be second or first here to keep himself in the mix. Daniel Grassel, I'd say probably needs a second or a third, or anything above that would be great. I'd say Shaidorov needs first or second to keep himself in that final contention. Two-thirds, I don't know exactly off the top of my head how it's stacking up right now for the men, but two-thirds is normally a little bit of a stretch sometimes. Again, we still have to see some other people. Some of the contenders next week could bomb, and it could be a more open field. Let's see, what else do we have? Kazuki Tomono keeping himself in the final for sure, and also he can make a statement for that third Japanese spot. We'll also see Jason Brown here. Jason Brown is making his Grand Prix debut this season. He'll be doing mock events this year. He'll be doing Skate America, and then we'll see him next week at Grand Prix Finland. Yeah, I think overall, looking at this field, it's very open to me. It's very open. I don't really think I could sit here and say, I think this person's going to win. I think this person will be second. I think this person will be third. I think looking at it, you could say, I'm just going to list some names. These are people that I think you could see on the podium potentially. Mikhail Shaidorov, Kevin Amos, Daniel Grassel, Jason Brown, Kazuki Tomono, Nikolai Memela, maybe even Satsuya Savoy. I think you'd see about seven men potentially on the podium. Those other men, I'm not really super confident with them. Vladimir Letnitsev definitely has technical capabilities, but will he put it together, and will he get marked favorably in the artistic score? Not exactly sure. Shout out to Liam Kapikis and Corey Cercelli, who will be getting their Grand Prix debuts this season. Good for those two, good for development for them to grow as skaters and make a step up maybe in this season or the next. The predictions for me for this event, I will go. Okay. I will go. I'm gonna put everything aside with how he's looked this season. I think Shaidorov is gonna figure it out. I think he's gonna figure it out, and I think he's gonna get the gold. I think Daniel Grassel will be second. This next one that I have is a little bit of a. I'm going based off of the vibe and his legacy at Skate America. I'm gonna go with the Kevin Amos for the bronze. But I know that also could be like Kevin Amos 10th. So, I don't know. That's just my gut. And I also haven't seen any of the practices yet. So maybe wait till Thursday to make your predictions. But I'm gonna go Jason Brown third, which I think you could see Jason Brown sticking onto the podium. He's very consistent. He has great programs. So yeah. And then I'm gonna go a wild card. I'm gonna go Kazuki Tomono fifth. I don't want Kazuki Tomono to be fifth, but that's just looking at this field. I think Glassell and Shadow will probably outscore him, and then I think Brown and Amos maybe have a little bit more potential to outscore him. And Kazuki's a little bit inconsistent at times, but for Kazuki, I think even if he places fifth here, I think if he puts up a good score, that's more important than actually the placements for him. Because he'll want to have outscored not Shinsato, Cal Miura by a lot. I think that would be a good thing for him to do, have a higher total score at both of his Grand Prix over Cal Miura. Yeah. Let's talk a little dance. Let's go dancing. Dancing in Skate America. I have to say the dance event probably it's a little underwhelming and also kind of interesting at the same time. For me, the big thing, obviously, Chock and Bates here at their second Grand Prix. One, how are they going to fare? How are they going to do? Are they going to have improvements in the rhythm dance? Are they going to have a much more innovative look to the free dance? Will we have more energy? Will they have more attack? They did look a little slow and a little bit hesitant at Cup of China. I wonder, are they going to be on the attack now that they've seen how the French is scoring, how everyone else is scoring this year? Are they going to be hungry? Are they ready to fight for that Olympic gold? I think these are some things that I'm looking at going into this weekend for them. How are they going to be scored? Are they going to get a big home cooked score? Are they going to get a more realistic score? I think that's something else. Yeah, just I'm excited to see they're comparing them from what they had in China. So there obviously will be the first place team here unless they fall again, like they did last year at Skid America. But again, I don't know if the other teams, even if they have a fall, will be able to pull up and beat them because last year was Lila and Lewis, and they much more of a cemented team than some of the other ones here. All right, the next thing I'm excited to see is the ranking between these three teams: Lejoie and Lega, Loboreva and Brissot, and Carrera and Ponomarenko. These are the three teams I'm excited to see how they will be scored. You had Lala and Carrera Ponomarenko at Skate Canada, where Lejoie and Lega got the edge. Do I think it could flip here? I think it is a possibility now that it's in the US. I think that's something that, again, when you're in the country, sometimes you get helped out a little bit. And they were super close at Skate Canada anyways. So do I think that could be flipped here? Yes. Would I be shocked if it is? If it is, no. Would I be shocked if it isn't? No. So I think that's interesting to see. Same with Loboreva Brissot. They have a little bit underwhelming material this year, but they've also scored the highest of those three teams. So how are they going to get scored here? Are they factored in above Karan Ponomarenko and Lejoie Lega? Because this is now, we're looking at the grand outlook of dance this year and where all these teams are going to start ranking in. As well, Loperev and Brissot, they'll be going up against Demotier and Lemercier for the third showdown, or is it the fourth? They had French Masters, they went Nepola, fourth time, because they were at the same first Grand Prix too. So this is the fourth time they're going up against each other. Fourth time, they'll likely beat them. So I think they're solidly getting that second spot for France. And one other thing I'm looking at is I'm actually excited to see the Browns. They have a really cool free dance this year that's gotten a lot of good feedback. Could they get somehow catapulted up into that top five? Could they make themselves a higher echelon of a dance team this year? Are they going to move up a tier? That's something that I'm excited to see. They've taken a good step this year to make a jump, but we haven't seen them this season at all at the Grand Prix. They are doing both their Grand Prix back to back like Jason Brown, so we haven't seen them in a while. We don't know how their training is going, and we don't know how they're going to be scored versus some of these teams. But they have a great free dance, and I'm excited to see how it's all factored in. So some of the other teams that I watch out for here, the Morozics, obviously great skating skills, very young, so we'll see how they pan out. Haven't really seen a lot of their material this year, so I'm excited to see them. Also, Phoebe Becker and James Hernandez, they're making their Grand Prix debut as a team together, so this is their first ever Grand Prix. Super excited to see them. Um, yeah, so that's really exciting for them to be able to make that first step in their career. But all right, predictions. All right, let's see. Chalk and Bates first, of course. Uh, I think this is one of the fields I did make a prediction for, and you can tell. Um, oh God. Okay, I'll go. I think I'm gonna go Lejoie and Lagasse second. I really like their free dance. It is nice. It is very generic, but I wonder if they'll be buried in the rhythm dance. I'm not sure. I'm going to still put them second with Carrera third, and then I'm going to go Loboreva Brousseau fourth, and then I'll keep Demosier and Lemercier in fifth place. I know that's a little boring, but I don't know. I don't really know how the scoring is going to go for this. Dance is always finicky, and especially with some of these teams, they're all so close in the rankings, so you don't really know how they're always like a point apart, some of them, so you don't really know how it's going to pan out. But all right, let's take a look here at the women, the final event of Skate America. And this will be the final event actually, because the final event on Sunday is the women's free skate and the free dance. So actually I did this kind of in order. Wow, I really pulled this off. All right. Um, First thing that jumps out to me actually is who's potentially in it for the Grand Prix final here. Obviously, Alysa Liu. Rinka Watanabe is actually still in this. She would likely need probably second or first to make it. And if she is second, she would need a pretty big score just because of how the women have been. If she's third here, that is not good for her because Isabel Levito is second and fourth, and she'll have the edge on her because of the second place finish from Skate Canada. So she really will need to be second or first to keep herself in that contention. Um, Alysa Liu probably just needs to be second, first or second, I would say, probably. She could probably even afford being third, maybe, but I don't think she'd want to do that. Another thing I'm looking out for here is the Korean women, the battle between Chan, Kim, and Hyeon Lee. Also, Jia Shin competed today and yesterday and today and posted huge scores in the domestic event, almost a 140 in the free skate. So, these Korean women are starting to step it up a little bit. Young Yu stepping up. Jia Shin looks like she's getting her stuff in order. It's interesting to see because these are the other two that I would say are in it for that Olympic spots, for those Olympic spots. So, interesting to see which one will come ahead here. My money's on Chaeyeon Kim, but again, we'll have to see. Also, I'm excited to see well, I'm not excited to see, but I am interested to see what Wakaba Higuchi will bring to the table here. Obviously, this is her final Grand Prix event in her career, especially it being back to back. It's got to be difficult, especially with her injury that we've been hearing about and the watered down content. Personally, for me, I would really just like to see her give two great skates to kind of end her Grand Prix career on a high note and kind of give a good send off for the international crowds. I think she could potentially be in it for maybe 4 continents or maybe that post-Olympic worlds, but I think the Olympic team is likely out of the question at this point, unless there's like a Herculean effort in the next month. But yeah, it's got to be very difficult for her, especially with handling the injury and then also the travel situation. So, but I'm excited to see her kind of come and give us a good performance. That's what I'm looking forward to. Also, I'm looking at Gubanova and Laurinaki. Those two are, I would say, are in it for some medals here, but also you have to remember they are also Team Georgia and Team Italy. Oh God, my neck really hurts. And that's something that you're going to want to keep a story, an eye on for that team event, because those two are definitely going to be integral parts for getting that team bronze, or even more, and could give us a little bit of a preview on what we're going to see at the Olympics, because they're very similarly matched in terms of their technical output as well as their artistic impressions. I'd say Laurinaki probably has a little bit more innovative and unique programs, but Gubanova has two good vehicles for herself this year that have that don't set her apart poorly. They don't value her skating. So let's see. Another storyline. This could be Alysa Liu's first Grand Prix win potentially. The field's here pretty wide open. I think if she skates pretty consistently, like she has been this year, she'll get a pretty decent score. And we won't see the Lady Gaga program here. She said that it's not 100% ready. She did also say that she's going to keep the Promise short program for the remainder of the year. So I think that's a good move on her part. I'm interested to see how the Let's Loop will pan out in the short program. It looked pretty decent in China. I'm sure it'll only get better as the year goes along. And then Josephine Ling making her Grand Prix debut. Great for her, good experience. Some other names to pay attention to here. Hana Yoshida, great skater. She'll probably be going for a triple axel. Star Andrews, Lea Serna, and Ekaterina Kurakova likely will probably all be at the bottom of the pack. But again, some of them could give really good performances and have good performance quality and some decent technical output. So my predictions for the women, I'm going to go with Alysa Liu for the win. My gut says Cheon Kim for second. And she's also been injured this year, so it's interesting to see how much improvement she's made since France. That's about a month, so that's a lot of time. My gut says Chan Kim second. I'm gonna go Laura Naki for the bronze. I don't know if this has got a lot of thought process behind it, but my heart says Laura Naki third. I'm gonna go Gubanova fourth, and I'm gonna put Rinka Watanabe fifth. Some people on the outside that I think could work themselves into the top five. Obviously, maybe Hyan Lee. Um, maybe Hana Yoshida. And maybe Wakaba if she's really on her A game. So those are some people that I think could sneak into the top five if you're looking for an outside shot. But yeah, Skate America will begin on Friday. We'll have practices on Thursday. Don't know if it's on Peacock. Normally it is, but yeah, if I get any information, I'll post it on our Instagram. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts going into Skate America? Who do you have on your podium? Put your predictions down below and let me know what you think. I'll see you guys next week recapping Skate America. Clayton, he'll be back. He's just visited Chicago, so he's back from vacation. But super excited to watch Skate America this week and cannot wait to talk about it with you guys next week. But that's all I have for you today. Bye bye. I'll see you guys next week.